Well, hello there, and welcome to Three Things with JR. This is episode 19, I think, of this season, the fifth season of this show, which makes it episode number 157. And I have no plan whatsoever. I have not written out the three things. I have been very busy. So busy that I have not been able to find the energy or the drive to want to do this show. So instead of doing the prep work that I might normally do, I just cracked the mic and I am talking to you now. Like literally, that's where I'm at. What are the three things? At this time, I do not know. So we'll see where this goes. I've been so busy though, I figured I might talk about what I've been doing. And what I have been doing outside of work primarily consists of 5 nights of rehearsal every week for The Wizard of Oz at Live Arts. And this has been a very unique, very different theater experience thus far. The rehearsals are different. I might have told you already how different the auditions were. The staff, the theater, I'm in a different theater than I've ever been in. And the pace of what we're doing at rehearsal is different. It's a different kind of show. And it's the first show I'm doing where the audience might expect the show to look and feel one way, but it is probably going to look and feel very differently than that. And by the way, this is a good thing. So this is not criticism. This is surprise, really, from me. Because typically the shows I've done have been done many times before, and we have a lot of previous versions of the show to go on to know how to do the show. And obviously each new director and musical director and artistic director bring their own flavor to it. The space you're performing the show in, the theater itself, plays a big role in what the show will look and sound and feel like. But for the most part, given the differences in the venue and the staff, we're still trying to basically create the same show that the original source material provides. So what we're doing this time isn't that. Yes, we are doing the songs written in the score, and we are, yes, using the same script. But our director, John Gibson, this is a bit of a passion project for him. He has been mesmerized by, affected by The Wizard of Oz since being a small child. And he's bringing a lifelong passion for, he's been consumed by The Wizard of Oz, according to him, since he was 3. And he's thought a lot about it. Like, he's thought about The Wizard of Oz the way most people have not. Most people, myself included, have simply enjoyed the movie for what it is without thinking too deeply into what all has gone into it. And what it might mean, say, for example, if it were a real thing, what it might mean for the characters in the movie if they were somewhat real, like if this had really happened to them, this Land of Oz thing, and who leaves Kansas and goes to Oz, and who comes back from Oz, and these types of things. And we're looking to tell that story. In addition to the actual The Wizard of Oz. And as a result, rehearsals don't feel like what you expect them to feel. You don't just come in and work on the songs. You don't just come in and work on, If I Only Had a Brain, and If I Only Had a Heart, and If I Only Had the Nerve. We're interpreting them to mean something different, maybe more than what they mean in the original show. And they weren't kidding when they told us that the ensemble for this show will not be like the ensemble for most shows where you are background, you come on for a show or for a song, you sing, you dance, you leave, you go costume change, you come out and do it again. We're literally going to be on stage the whole show. And knowing where each person has to be at what time, at what line, at what song is going to be critical. And we're also kind of discovering that. Like John Gibson doesn't come to each rehearsal knowing exactly where we're going to be and when we're going to be there. It's like we're figuring it out all together. And it feels more collaborative than anything I've done before. Even while being constantly reminded that it is a wise thing to stay in your lane, right? Like it is not. I am free to express ideas or different ways of doing things, but at the end of the day, it's John Gibson's call. But he is, in some cases, easily swayed. In other cases, if it doesn't align with his vision, he's not easily swayed. I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing a good job of conveying this, but it's kind of awesome. I am learning a lot about theater in general, theater at Live Arts, theater with John Gibson in this process, surrounded by a company of amazing people. I once again feel like the least talented person in the room, surrounded by incredible singers, dancers, actors, people with a lot more experience, knowledge than I bring to the table. And I'm not saying that for any other reason than to simply say I love being in the room with all of these people that I can learn from. I listen, I pay attention, I'm observant, and I'm capturing nuggets of things that people do to prepare themselves for the role that they are performing and for the show, and finding the right amount of open-mindedness as well as standing up for how you want to perform your character, like that kind of stuff. It's fantastic. I'm also the singing that I'm surrounded by is amazing, and I hope just simply to not bring the overall sound of the show down with me and my singing limitations. They wouldn't let me even get away with saying that if they were in the room right now. But I recognize that, seriously, these people know and are better at singing than I am. But I have my perfect little place in this show. I will be playing a whole bunch of little characters throughout the show. And I am going to be one of the biggest munchkins you've ever seen. And I'll be a Winky. I didn't know until we got into this that a Winky is the witch's guards. So I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff and loving every minute of it. So that is 5 nights a week. Sundays we rehearse from 2 to 7, and then we have dinner together. And then we have Monday through Thursday night rehearsals from 7 to 10. And so it is more rehearsals than I've ever had to do for any show previously. And it allows you very little time to get creative and do other things. I have found time to play some disc golf here and there. I have found time I took some time off from the show to go on the trip that I had planned before the show. But for the most part, it's The Wizard of Oz, and it's work, and maybe a little disc golf on my days off. So anyway, all of this to say, tickets have just gone on sale. If you are wanting to see what we are creating at Live Arts with The Wizard of Oz, then I highly recommend you go to the Live Arts website. I'll put a link in the show description. I believe it's livearts.org, and tickets are on sale now and selling. So it's The Wizard of Oz, after all. Everybody's heard of it, and it's going to be showing, leading up to Christmas. It's a holiday show, sort of, And it's the return of John Gibson to live arts. If you know, you know. And so there's be a lot of people wanting to see this show. There are 16 performances. Some of them are pay what you can. And I'm just saying, get your tickets sooner than later, so you don't miss out on seeing the spectacle of John Gibson's The Wizard of Oz.
Thing number one.
Yeah, we'll call that thing number one. That's what that was. Thing number one. Thing number two, that trip I took. Let me tell you about that. Austin, Texas, kind of awesome. And I've always heard that Austin was kind of awesome. Always wanted to go to Austin. I would say that the first time Austin got put on my radar as a cool place, a couple things happened. One, the Asylum Street Spankers, one of my favorite bands of all time. They no longer are a band, but for a while they were. And they could be summed up as this: a 10-piece acoustic band playing cover songs from, jazzy swing stuff to Tin Pan Alley to show tunes, plus original, very creative stuff. And when they performed, they would literally be 100% acoustic, no microphones, except for when they were recording. During their, towards the end of the band being a thing, they would use microphones and amps and speakers, only to allow them to play larger venues, but minimalistic, kind of like the mics that you see on people's faces when they are in musical theater. Very unobtrusive. You don't really think about the mics. And that's what they were going for. And very creative, very funny, and they were awesome. And they came from Austin, Texas, and they seemed to really dig Austin. So by extension, so did I. And then one night, for a long time, my ex-wife and the kids and I, we didn't have TV at our house. We had a TV and a VCR so we could watch movies occasionally, but we didn't watch TV. And that all changed one day when I got a bonus at work, and I bought a nicer TV, and I bought a little home theater system, and I also got an antenna from my aunt and uncle. It was like a hand-me-down sort of big antenna that was on their chimney. Well, I put it up on our roof, and all of a sudden, we had access to local, free, over-the-air broadcast network TV. And all of a sudden, we could just sit down and watch TV sometimes. And there was one night that I stumbled on PBS, the show Austin City Limits, and it was Beck was playing. I remember it like it was yesterday. I laid down on the couch and was mesmerized by this show. I didn't know it existed before that night, and I became a regular viewer of Austin City Limits on PBS. Every artist that they had was incredible, and the production was cool. The venue looked neat. There was just something about it. And I started to think about Austin more. I started to hear about things like South by Southwest. I thought that sounded like fun. Always wanted to go to that. Still haven't done that yet, but I would love to go to Austin for that. And then the Austin City Limits TV show is more than just a TV show. It became a music festival that happens in a big park in Austin, right along the Colorado River, and it's the Austin City Limits Music Festival, and it seems to have gotten bigger and bigger every year. It's a 2-weekend festival where musicians are performing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 2 weekends in a row. The headliners are the same both weekends. Many of the other bands only play one weekend and not the other. So a ton of bands, probably 30 or 40 total, somewhere in that neighborhood, and overall crowd attendance is around 75,000 per night or per day. So around 450,000 people can attend the Austin City Limits Music Festival, and I thought that sounded like fun. When I saw Sturgill Simpson's tour dates, I saw that he was playing at the Austin City Limits Music Festival, and it seemed to me like a great time to go see Austin. Go see the city, go see the festival, see Sturgill Simpson play. And as the list of artists began to fill out, I thought, well, there's a bunch of bands that I might like to go see. Dua Lipa, Chris Stapleton, Blink-182, Orville Peck, And then I just started listening to a Spotify playlist of all of the Austin City Limits Music Festival Weekend 1 artists, because they put out a playlist that is that. And I started to find a bunch of bands that I might want to see. And then at the show, I just stumbled on bands that I didn't have on my radar that blew me away. So I did. I went to weekend number 1, Austin City Limits, and loved it. Here's some highlights for you. So, of course, Sturgill Simpson closed the show out on Sunday night, and was every bit as awesome as I had hoped he would be. I did not get to see much of Chris Stapleton because he was playing at the same time as Blink-182. And Blink-182, who I've seen before, put on such a good show, I couldn't leave. I couldn't walk away from that stage and walk over to the other main stage to see Chris Stapleton. I had there was no possible way that the Chris Stapleton was going to be as much fun as watching Blink-182. Blink-182 finishes, and I head over, and I did catch the last 3 songs from the Chris Stapleton. I heard Tennessee Whiskey and Broken Halos. Those are the 2 best songs that he's put out. So I heard what I needed to hear, but from way back at the back of the audience. Let's see. Benson Boone came out and blew me away doing backflips and stuff while also singing just as good as Freddie Mercury. And he was kind of great. On my radar now as somebody to pay attention to. Dasha, she was amazing. And let's see, Dua Lipa certainly exceeded expectations, and the crowd was insane. I got to hang out with some Albanians in the crowd. They were holding up an Albanian flag, and I had just finished the book, an audiobook all about the Blues Brothers movie, and so I had learned a lot of the history of John Belushi. Didn't know he was of Albanian descent. So when these Albanians and I got talking, I said, "Hey, John, I just read about John Belushi, who was an Albanian." And then the guy's like, "Oh, yeah, let me tell you." And then he starts showing me pictures of him when he was working on Jim Belushi's house at what's that place? Martha's Vineyard. And so just had a great time. And then Dua Lipa takes the stage, and it just, the show, the spectacle, the crowd, incredible. So it was huge. I loved being surrounded by 75,000 other people there to see a great show. 3 days of that, basically, was the show. It took 2 days to drive there and 2 days to drive back. 2 days to drive there basically was a long time on the road to get to New Orleans. Stayed in New Orleans on Wednesday night, and then drove the rest of the way to Austin on Thursday. That drive from New Orleans to Austin kind of sucked. The interstate was heavy traffic, and ended up getting off the interstate and going through more rural parts of Texas. And yeah, so that drive, that part of it sucked. Got into Austin later Thursday night than I wanted to. And then to get to the festival and back from my Airbnb, I rode scooters and bikes, like e-scooters, e-bikes, the kind you rent, Lime scooters and city bikes, right along the trail that goes along the Colorado River. And I played disc golf at a nearby park and then a different place. And I met up with a friend I used to work with. And I didn't really see downtown Austin at all. I saw Zilker Park, where Austin City Limits is. I saw the trail in between. I saw some disc golf courses. I ate at the original Chewy's Tex-Mex restaurant, which was probably the best meal I had the entire trip. And partied at Austin City Limits with a bunch of people. On the way back, I stopped in Waco, Texas to play disc golf. If you're a disc golfer, you understand why I wanted to stop there at the Brazos East, the Beast, as they call it. It's a tour. It's a disc golf place where they play on the Pro Tour, and it was a lot of fun. Easier than I expected it to be, but yeah, loved playing the disc golf. And then I just hit the road and drove until I couldn't drive anymore. Caught a couple hours of sleep in a Buc-ee's parking lot. Woke up and hit the road and finished the drive. Got back in the early afternoon. Had time to run errands. And then, you know what? Go to rehearsal. I got back for a rehearsal I was not necessarily expected to be at because I told him I'd be on this trip. But I got back early enough that, yeah, I hit and did rehearsal. And I'm glad I did because things changed in the 6 days that I had been missing. So So the trip to Austin and back solo, nobody with me, just me in my awesome car, which does fantastic, by the way, on the road, and listening to audiobooks, listening to podcasts, listening to music, listening to my Wizard of Oz score that I needed to practice, and smoking and vaping and drinking and eating whatever I wanted, doing whatever I wanted, and just enjoyed the hell out of that trip. And it's not the kind of vacation I typically get to go on. Typically there's dogs and girlfriends and family members and lots of things like that to do. And this time it was just all about whatever I felt like doing, and it was great. So I probably don't need to do that a whole bunch because I don't know why, but it seems like it felt like an indulgence. Spending a lot of money to do just this for just me, it was treating myself for sure, and I don't think you can do that all the time. It becomes something you expect of your vacations rather than a special treat. So we'll keep it the special treat. We'll see what happens. Maybe again in a year or so, I might consider doing something like that again. But if you are at all thinking you should go to the Austin City Limits Music Festival next year, I highly recommend it. I did do some video. I videoed myself talking to the camera in the car while driving. and maybe that will make itself onto YouTube at some point, but I've got to get motivated. I'm barely motivated to do this podcast, and it's even harder to find time to edit video and put together something coherent that people might enjoy for YouTube. So I'll try to get back to that as soon as possible. But for now, this is what you got. This is my summary of my trip to Austin, Texas.
Thing number two.
I guess that was thing number 2. What's going to be thing number 3? Well, I got you. Here's thing number 3. I don't know if I've mentioned this before on the show. I can't remember. I don't know what I'd say the moment after I say it. But I'm at that age where I need to start maybe considering taking care of myself. And by taking care of myself, I mean maybe go to the doctor and see what they say about my health. And when they say things that maybe I should do differently, maybe I should consider doing them. So I've begun that process. I got a new primary care physician, one that embraces technology and has a portal, and I can communicate with them, and I can look at my lab results online and figure out what's going on, and they can refer me to other specialists. And so that's what I'm in the process of doing. I've had my physical. My doctor recommended that I get my skin checked out just in case there's moles or things that could be cancer. He recommended, because of my smoking, that I should go get a lung scan, and also recommended, and I of course expected this one, but it's time. In fact, it's 5 years past time to get a colonoscopy. And so when I talked to the colonoscopy people, they started asking me some questions so that they could determine, are they going to do it at their office, or is it going to have to be something that I have to go to the hospital for? And it's the jury's still out on that. For one, they asked about my airway for breathing. Like, do I have any airway or breathing problems? And I was curious about why they would want to know that. My understanding of a colonoscopy is that it doesn't have much to do with your air intake. It might have something to do with the air exit, but not the air intake. So I was curious, and they're basically saying it's like a surgery, and we got to put you under, and the anesthesiologist wants to know that if we need to, can we insert a breathing tube? Is that a thing that you can handle? And so I told him, oh, yeah, I think that would be no problem. I don't have any airway issues that I'm aware of that would cause that to not happen. And then they started asking questions, and basically they said, do you get out of breath when walking upstairs? And I do. I mean, I'm fat and I smoke, and I'm not as active as I should be. And so, yeah, occasionally I do. And boy, that was it. That was all the questions they needed to hear. They knew from that answer that they couldn't just do a quick examination of me in their office to know whether or not they could do a colonoscopy in the office or in the hospital. They need to see me. They need to actually do a full check to see if I'll be able to handle it. So it's still possible they might do it in their office. It's also possible they'll have to tell me to go to the hospital. But first I've got to go in for a full on pre-appointment check to see what is it going to be like. Can they do a colonoscopy on me in their office? And I hope they can. That would sound simpler and easier. So I've got that to look forward to, and I've got all these things scheduled. I've got the next root canal scheduled. I'm hopefully going to get some more teeth going on, that kind of thing. Anyway, I'm just saying, in addition to the Wizard of Oz and work and Austin, I've also been having to make tons of appointments for examinations and follow-ups and referrals and this and that. And we'll see if we can juggle it all. It's a lot of fun. It's probably a good idea to do all of this. And I guess I'm probably going to have to start making some changes to what I do, in far as what I eat and what I inhale, and how much I exercise and all that kind of stuff. And I'm supposed to start monitoring my blood pressure. I've got a blood pressure cuff, and I'm supposed to start doing that. So anyway, that was thing number 3. It's supposed to be something stupid. I don't know how stupid that was, but maybe it's dumb that I haven't done this before now. Yeah, let's go with that. That was thing number 3.
Thing number 3.
And that's the show. Thank you for listening to Three Things with JR. Sorry I've taken the last few weeks off. I think if you've listened to the show up till now, you know why. But I'm planning on continuing to do the show along with the other show, Small Things Considered with Gary. We've got one more episode of that show before the election, and then the election, and then who knows what we'll talk about after the election. I'm imagining we're going to have to talk about whatever happened on election day and beyond in the follow-up episode to that. So, but then in all likelihood, we'll get into talking about the stuff that we enjoy more, like music and music criticism and music reviews and just stuff about music and life and being fat old white friends that play music together. I don't know, whatever stuff that comes out of that. So that's Small Things Considered. Right now it's all about politics until we don't have to do that anymore. So please listen to that show. It comes out on alternating Tuesdays from this show. Check out livearts.org to get your tickets to The Wizard of Oz. Check out my YouTube channel, wiiay.com. It hasn't been updated in months, but there's a bunch of great stuff on there if you haven't seen it already. There's 38 videos. You should probably go watch those if you haven't seen them yet. And Crutchfield the podcast, which I also do for work. That's a podcast I do that I actually get paid to do. As just a part of my normal salary. But still, it's a podcast that maybe has a little bit more legs than this or Small Things Considered. Check it out, why don't you? Crutchfield, the podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. So thanks again for listening. I'll be back next week with Small Things Considered, and in 2 weeks for the next episode of this show. Peace out. Love you. Thanks for listening. See you later.
It's a brand new day.